You may know I like to put orchids in glass, but I get a lot of questions because it seems to break all the rules we know about growing orchids. But it doesn't, it just uses it to our advantage. So first thing to remember when growing orchids is that they are epiphytes. That means they grow on the sides of trees. So even in a normal plant pot, they will not be getting the same amount of airflow. A normal pot doesn't even have too much more airflow because it only has a few little drainage holes at the bottom. And when that's sitting on a table, not a lot of air is going to pass through that. So as long as you are draining your orchid, then it'll be getting the same amount of air. But since these do stay wet a little bit longer, we do have to modify it. And one of the biggest rules in growing plants is balance. So when you increase one thing, you have to increase all of the others. So we give these a lot more light and a lot more food than normally. When you first pot one of these up, you may notice that the older leaves start to die and there might be a little bit of root die-off. That is completely normal, it just has to adjust to a new way of living, as it will be getting a much longer wet period and a much longer dry period. I find that these bloom a lot more frequently and grow a lot faster than the normal Phalaenopsis. And that's because the most important thing with orchids is the roots. You have to make sure the roots are happy or else the rest of the plant will not be happy. And keeping them in glass gives it a perfect little greenhouse. Very high humidity, and with the increased sunlight, you get a lot of hot air in the daytime and it cools down a lot during the night. So you also get a very extreme temperature drop for the orchid, which we know also lets them bloom. And with this extreme temperature fluctuation, we get a lot of different air pressure in there. The hot days, those air molecules are really packed together and moving around really rapidly, while at night there are much fewer and they are moving much slower, so we get a lot of different fluctuation in there, which leads to air movement, on a much smaller scale of course. But we also do this normally with our orchids, like in this Dendrobium. You may have noticed that it's actually in a glass vase with a pot sitting on top with a little water in the bottom, and that's because it holds in the humidity a lot more, so I don't have to water as much. It's almost like semi-hydro and very similar to these because once again, the drainage holes at the bottom are not providing any airflow. It is only that little ring around the top. But even some of my glass pots do have drainage because I care about these orchids and really want them to thrive. Like my little baby Psychopsis, this was a dream orchid for a long time, so I am doing everything I can to make sure it is perfect. So I found a very cool glass pot with a very small drainage hole at the bottom so I don't overwater this one by accident. This is a very complicated topic, and I am going to be honest, I don't understand it completely. However, I do understand that it works, and I'm trying to figure out why it does every day. But if you have a plastic pot sitting inside of a decorative pot like this Motoniopsis, you have done something similar to my glass already, so why not give it a try? When you're looking for a glass pot, I have found a few things that really help, and that is the height of the pot. You want it to be under 4 inches tall, because after that, water will evaporate differently and it won't dry the same. And you want to find something with a big open top. That just gives it as much air movement as possible and will help it dry a lot faster, so it's an easier transition for you and the plant. I hope you try this, as more people doing this helps me know if this is something that actually works or something that's just for me.